The afternoon arrives quietly, without changing the room. Light settles and stays. Time moves evenly now, without pressure. Each moment holds its place. The space feels comfortable, not because it is warm, but because it is familiar and steady. Light rests along the edge of the table, then drifts away, never fully leaving, never staying too long. The air holds stillness without becoming silent. Sounds exist gently in the background. Thoughts pass through slowly, then fade, leaving space behind. No signal to adjust, no moment to prepare. The day continues naturally. A quiet afternoon remains after the rush is already past. A quiet afternoon remains, letting time move without urgency, without demand. Sounds soften further as they repeat. The room absorbs them easily. Time stretches thin across the later hours, becoming lighter. The window reflects the room rather than the outside. Inside feels contained and calm. Nothing waits to happen, nothing needs to finish. The energy fades gently into something neutral. The day holds its shape without effort. The light lowers gradually, the room stays unchanged. Time continues softly. The room feels quieter, not because it is silent, but because nothing competes for attention. Time moves in wide intervals, moments spaced far apart, enough room to breathe between them. The space feels balanced, not held together tightly, just resting. Light lowers gradually across familiar surfaces. never settling fully, never disappearing. The air feels even, as if it has already adjusted to the season. Thoughts thin out one by one, leaving pauses behind. No direction forms, no urgency appears. The hours remain open. A quiet stretch of winter unfolds without effort. After the calendar stops mattering, a quiet stretch of winter where time's pressing forward. Sounds drift softly, then scatter, never landing in the same place. Time widens across the later hours. The window reflects the room rather than the sky inside. Feels contained but relaxed. The rhythm loosens into something unstructured. The day exhales. Light fades unevenly across the room. Nothing concludes. Nothing needs to. The day begins softly behind the window. Winter stays outside the room. Inside, the space feels even and unchanging. Time moves carefully without sharp edges. Each sound finds its place, then stays. The air feels warm and contained. The room feels settled. Nothing pulls attention away from the quiet. No rush in the morning, no wait in the hours. The day unfolds As time moves forward, a quiet winter day, indoors everything feels calm and complete enough. The stillness stays as the day continues without ending. The afternoon arrives without announcement. Light enters softly and stays. Time flows in long stretches without interruption. Each moment blends into the next. The space feels comfortable, not because it is quiet, but because it is familiar. Light shifts slowly across the walls, never pulling focus away. The air remains even, holding warmth consistently. Nothing feels rushed. Thoughts pass through, then fade, leaving space behind. No need to react, no reason to move. The day remains open. A late winter afternoon held in place after everything has passed. A late winter afternoon, letting time move without demand. Sounds soften further as they repeat, supporting the room evenly. Time stretches outward across the day. The window keeps the cold distant, inside remains calm and steady. The room does not shift, it simply stays. The rush has already left, the calm settles in naturally. The light fades gradually, the room remains, the day continues softly. The afternoon arrives gently without shifting the room. Light settles and stays. Time flows evenly now, without pressure. Each hour connects softly. The space feels familiar, like it has learned how to remain still. Light press across the floor, then slowly fades, never demanding attention. The air holds warmth consistently, nothing changes suddenly. Thoughts appear briefly, then dissolve, leaving space behind. No reason to adjust, no moment to prepare. The day unfolds quietly, a steady winter afternoon, held in place after the rush has gone. A steady winter afternoon, letting time pass without urgency. Sounds repeat gently, supporting the room rather than filling it. Time stretches thin across the hours. The window reflects the inside. Rather than the cold, the room feels contained and calm. Nothing waits to happen, nothing needs to end. The energy settles into something neutral. The day holds its shape. The light fades slowly, the room remains. Time continues softly. The room feels unchanged as the month continues. The light arrives slowly and stays where it lands. Time moves forward without feeling pushed. Each moment blends into the next. The space feels neutral, not waiting, not finished, just present. Light shifts slightly across familiar walls. The air holds warmth evenly. Thoughts drift through without staying long, leaving the moment unmarked. No sense of arrival, no sense of leaving. The days continue quietly. After the holidays pass, the calm remains. The room day does not close. It simply thins and continues. A steady rhythm fills the room. The night is already moving. The day is done, it stays behind. I don't bring it into this space. The lights are low, the air is calm. Everything moves at its own pace. Signals pulling at my mind. No reason left to rush ahead. It's just a quiet evening now. Nothing more I need to prove. I let the hours stay consistent. Let the night decide the mood. Shows a darker sky. The city hums but far away. Inside the room the rhythm stays exactly where it wants to stay. Just a quiet evening now. Nothing loud, nothing new. Oh, I keep this sound beside me as the night moves through. If tomorrow comes too fast, I'll meet it when it does. For now, this moment is enough. The month feels quieter than it did before. The room holds a softer kind of light. Nothing feels particularly new, but nothing feels heavy either. The days move forward without announcement. Time repeats itself gently in familiar shapes. The room feels used but not tired, like it already knows how to stay still. Light rests along the edge of the floor, never bright enough to distract. The air feels even and settled. Thoughts arrive silence remaining. Sounds repeat quietly without pattern. The room absorbs them naturally. Time stretches thin across the afternoon, softening as it goes. The rush has already left. The quiet has settled in. The day continued without urgency. The light fades slightly. The room remains. The month moves forward quietly. The middle of the month feels quieter, not empty, just settled. The room receives the light without reacting. Time moves in longer stretches now without sharp beginnings. Each moment connects gently to the next one. The space feels familiar, like it is already adjusted to the pace of the season without effort. Light rests across the wall, then slowly drifts downward, never pulling attention away from the room. The air remains even, holding warmth consistently. Nothing feels rushed, nothing feels delayed. Thoughts appear briefly, then loosen their grip, leaving behind a softer silence. No changes forming, no pressure building. The day continues as expected. Late January moves slowly after everything has passed. The noise has already faded, leaving space behind. Late January moves slowly, not asking for focus, not demanding rest, just continuing. Sounds repeat in small variations, never the same way twice. The room absorbs them without emphasis. Time stretches wider now across the afternoon, softening further as it moves. The window holds the cold outside without letting it in. Inside remains steady and unchanged. The room feels balanced, night afternoon feels less defined. Edges soften without notice. The room accepts the quiet without changing shape. Hours move without markers, not counted, not measured, just unfolding. The space feels familiar because nothing interrupts it, nothing has to be named. Along the wall, then pauses as if deciding where to rest. The air holds warmth loosely, never tightening, never fading. Thoughts arriving complete, then dissolve before becoming. No shift announces itself, no moment asks for attention. The day loosens its structure. Late January opens slowly after the noise has thinned out, leaving room for nothing in particular. Late January opens slowly, letting the hours lose their edges. Sounds scatter gently across the room, never repeating the same way twice. Time spreads wider across the afternoon. Outside feels distant behind the glass, inside feels steady but unguarded. The pace relaxes into something unplanned. The day no longer pushes forward. Light settles where it lands. The room no longer reacts. The afternoon softens and stays undefined. The room feels balanced as the day goes on. Light remains low and calm. Time moves evenly without pressure. Each moment holds its place. The space feels settled, not empty, not full, just present. Light rests along the floor, then drifts away, never demanding attention. and steady. Time moves quietly without markers. Each moment settles, then stays. The space feels neutral, neither full nor empty, just holding the day. Light drifts along the window frame, softening the edges. The air remains even and calm. Thoughts slow down without effort, leaving behind a gentle stillness. No signal arrives, no shift begins. The day continues as expected. Late winter days hold steady after everything has passed. Late winter days hold steady, letting time move at its own pace. Sounds remain soft, repeating quietly. The room absorbs them naturally. Time stretches wider across the afternoon. The cold stays outside, uninvited. Inside remains warm and unchanged. Nothing asks for attention, nothing pulls away. The season settles into routine. The hours follow without resistance. The light lowers slowly, the room remains. The day continues unmarked. The room feels settled as the day moves on. Light remains soft and low. Time flows without urgency, each hour resembling the last. Moments arrive and rest. The space feels comfortable because it is familiar and unchanged. Light drifts along the edges of the room, never pulling focus away. The air holds stillness without silence. Sounds remain workday continues quietly. Late winter feels unhurried after everything has passed. Late winter feels unhurried, letting time remain open. Sounds repeat softly without pattern, supporting the space. Time stretches thin across the hours. The window keeps the cold outside, inside remains balanced and calm. Nothing waits, nothing resolves. The energy settles into something steady. The day holds. The light fades slowly. The room remains. Time continues without change. The room settles into the afternoon without change in shape. Light arrives slowly and stays low. Time moves in steady layers without sharp edges. Each moment overlaps with the next. As space feels balanced, not waiting, not finishing, just holding. Light rests across familiar corners, softening the room. The air remains even and unchanged. Thoughts flow naturally without effort, leaving the moment open. No signal to begin, no reason to adjust. The day continues quietly. Late winter holds the afternoon after the rush has already faded. Late winter holds the afternoon, letting time move at its own pace. Sounds repeat gently without pattern. The room absorbs them easily. Time stretches wider across the hours, softening further. The window reflects the inside rather than the cold. The room feels contained and calm. Nothing asks for settles into something neutral. The day no longer pushes forward, the light lowers gradually. The room remains. The afternoon continue without change. The day feels lighter now, as if pressure has lifted. The room responds by doing nothing at all. Hours pass without alignment, not early, not late, just happening. The space feels open because nothing fills it completely. Light shifts in small movements across the floor, never bright enough to interrupt. The air holds stillness without becoming flat. Thoughts appear briefly, then slip away, leaving traces rather than answers. No expectation builds, no outcome forms. The day relaxes its shape. Sounds lose their pattern, repeating loosely without direction. Time stretches, then thins. The outside feels far removed behind glass. Inside feels self-contained and quiet. The energy disperses into the background. The day becomes less defined. And drift apart. The day continues quietly without drawing in tension. Light settles and stays. Time flows without direction. Each hour is space feels familiar, like it is already adjusted to the pace of the season. Light moves slowly across the room, never bright enough to interrupt. The air remains stable, holding warmth evenly. Nothing shifts suddenly. Thoughts pass through, then disappear, leaving calm behind. No urgency forming, no pressure building. The day unfolds softly. Quiet hours move forward after everything has passed. Quiet hours move forward, letting time remain unshaped. Sounds stay low and consistent, supporting the room rather than filling it. Time stretches thin across the afternoon. The window holds the outside away, inside remains steady and unchanged. The room does not react, it simply stays. The season settles into repetition. The hours follow without resistance. The light fades slowly, the room remains. The day continues unnoticed. The day continues without announcement. Light rests quietly in the room. Time moves in longer lines without interruption. Each moment blends into the next. The space feels balanced, not waiting, not finishing, just present. Light shifts gently across familiar walls. The air remains calm and even. Thoughts loosen slowly, then disappear, leaving the moment open. No pressure builds, no change arrives. The hours continue as they are. Quiet routines carry the day. as they repeat. The room absorbs them easily. Time stretches wider across the afternoon. The cold remains distant behind the glass. Inside feels steady and warm. The room does not react, it simply stays. The season no longer announces itself, it just remains. The hours follow gently. The light lowers gradually. The room remains. The day continues unnoticed. The room feels unchanged as the days repeat. Light enters quietly and stays. Time flows without edges now, no sharp moments. Each hour blends into the next. The space feels settled, like it has accepted the rhythm of winter fully. Light slides slowly across the floor, never demanding attention, never fading too fast. The air feels balanced, holding warmth evenly. Nothing shifts suddenly, nothing pulls away. Thoughts slow down naturally, then dissolve, leaving the room undisturbed. No need to mark the time, no reason to move. The day remains open, open, open. Quiet winter days continue without change, without urgency, without direction. Quiet winter days continue, letting time pass at its own pace, unshaped. Sounds remain soft and consistent, supporting the space rather than filling it. Time stretches outward across the afternoon, becoming lighter. The window holds the cold at a distance. Inside remains calm and steady. The room does not react, it simply exists within the day. The season no longer announces itself, it just stays. The hours follow without resistance. The light fades slightly. The room cold light rests against the glass. The room feels calm and unchanged. Inside, the air moves slowly as the day begins without pressure. Moments arrive one by one without asking to be noticed. Each sound settles into the space, then blends quietly into the next. The room feels familiar, safe and still. Nothing feels unfinished. Nothing feels urgent. The warmth stays steady across the floor. Time stretches softly without resistance. Staying inside today, letting hours pass. The cold stays outside while calm stays here. Staying inside today, no need to move, no need to decide. Just remaining. Shadows move slowly along the wall, never changing shape too much. The day feels wide and open, even while staying still. Thoughts drift gently, then dissolve. Nothing holds on for too long. The clock continues quietly without marking the moment. The room remains the same, holding the day together. Staying inside today, quiet and warm. Everything slows down enough to breathe. The room remains, the light fades softly. Time continues unnoticed. The day feels settled now, without effort. Light rests quietly in the room. Time moves without edges. Each hour connecting gently. To the next. The space feels balanced. The air holds stillness without silence. Sounds remain soft. Thoughts loosen their grip and disappear, leaving calm behind. No signal to change, no pressure to move. The day continues as it is. The quiet stays through the day. After the noise has ended, the quiet stays through the day, letting time pass naturally. Sounds repeat gently, without pattern. The room absorbs them easily. Time stretches thin across the hours. The window reflects the inside rather than the outside. The room feels contained and calm. Nothing waits, nothing resolves. The energy fades into something steady. The day holds. The light lowers slowly. The room remains. Time continues without change. The morning light moves slowly across the room. Cold air stays behind. The window inside the space feels quiet and warm. Nothing outside feels close enough to matter. Time passes without a clear direction. The clock moves, but it feels distant. Every sound settles gently, then stays a little longer than expected. The room holds its shape, familiar and unchanged. The day begins without urgency and continues without asking. No plans forming, yet no need to move. The warmth stays even across the floor and walls. A winter day indoors. respond. Warmth continues quietly, holding the day in place.